Hello and welcome to this video on the Rest Hold Wrestling channel with myself, Kieran, and of course there's Gareth.
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
He's
I sure
here.
am here. I tell you what, I'm ready to bloody discuss some top 5 matches of the year, if you are.
Oh mate, I couldn't have think of anything better to talk about myself.
Exactly.
Let's get ready to it. Right, get round to it.
Let's
Okay.
get ready to Rumble, and my 5th match is the Royal Rumble. No, just would have been a good lead in, but no, I did like the Rumble, but it wasn't that good.
Okay, I'm going to start off with a controversial one that we talked about and one that people are going to raise their eyebrows at, and I know you are going to, and that's fair enough because I don't judge you for it, but please don't judge me for it either. I did double check. Dave Meltzer gave this match a 2-star. So me and Dave Meltzer are on completely different wavelengths here, and that is Takahashi and Yano at New Japan Cup. Right? It's a silly match, I know.
How did he get that a 2-star? I'm sorry. Like, I understand it's a comedy match. It was all a bit stupid and stuff, but like, even so, at least 3. He gave Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton their stupid little last man standing or whatever it was. He gave that 4 stars. It was shit. He's an idiot. I don't care. He's an idiot. I can't believe that.
Okay, Takahashi and Yano New Japan Cup. Now, you may be thinking, Kieran, why the hell have you chucked that match out of all matches on the top 5? And I'll tell you why. Matches can be different. They don't all have to be near falls, finishers, near falls, finishers, bitch, near falls, finishers, chairs, steel, God knows what, and throwing each other up. Sometimes they can be quite lighthearted, a bit of fun, and they can harken back to stories from years ago. And that is exactly what this match did. What it was purely a match between the two. Takahashi won. He was obviously going to get through. Yano winning was just going to be all ridiculous. But then Yano does have the capability of winning out in Norway. So that was always in the question in this match. And all it was Yano used to cut Takahashi's hair years ago. He tormented the hell out of him. That was the story of this. Takahashi's time as a young lion, someone growing in the industry, Yano took the absolute piss with him. Right? And that, for Takahashi coming into this match, there was a lot of memories from that moment. He stuck a helmet on to protect his hair. You know, all these variety things. They went all across the arena. Yano was taking the piss as he normally does. They ended up in an elevator, and it was absolutely fantastic. And in the lead up to this, there was a 6-man tag, and it was Okada, Yano, and like all these variety of things. And they played up to that, what this match would eventually be. And I just remember Okada and interacting with all this. And it was just so funny. So this particular match, it just represents a different style of match that I'm a real big fan of. And I think, you know, we all need light-hearted fans. And obviously, there are much bigger matches. There are your Orange Cassidy's versus Pax. Orange Cassidy versus quite a few people. You know, he tends to have some stellar matches, but I do think they still fall under the near-fall finisher kind of thing. You know, because eventually it did grow into that. It was all, you know, and it was following a typical formula. What this match did is that it threw all the rules out of the window, and it created something that harkens back. Yeah, like it harkens back to a story in the past and creates something unique compared to anything else on the card. And I, for one, really fucking loved it for what it was. There we are.
Long-term storytelling, mate. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mate, this match alone had more long-term storytelling than fucking WWE. And it was all about a fucking haircut.
No, it was. I just remember watching it and just laughing. Like, we were watching this on stream and we were just laughing the whole time because it was so funny. The ending with him putting in the elevator and getting a count-out win was just amazing. And it's one of my favourite comedy matches ever, for sure.
It's just silly. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way with.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to be tortured for it.
Yeah. My number 5, and this is a really hard one to pick because I was like going all these different matches and it's like, I don't really know how to separate them and all that. And then one hit my mind because I was like looking at other people's what people have said online, and I saw quite a few people say this one as their match of the year, which I obviously don't agree with because that's why I put it in number 5. but it's John Moxley versus Brody Lee from Double or Nothing, and it was just one of those where it's like if you're into your hard hitting stuff, your meat slapping, this is like pretty much. I mean, it might not be some of the ones in Japan from the past, obviously, but in terms of like modern stuff in that kind of sphere, let's say, if you just like big boys slapping meat, this is like right up there. And like some of the creativity in this was really, really good. In creativity in the spots, that is, especially with I was like trying to think. They're building Brody Lee up as this ridiculous monster, and as the match was going on, I was like, how is he possibly going to lose? There were so many times I was literally convinced Brody Lee was going to win, even though I didn't think that for a second going into the match. Just because I was like, well, Brody Lee's already kicked out of too much. Surely this is for some reason they're taking the title off Moxley. And I couldn't understand what was going on. And then they put Moxley does his paradigm shift through the stage. And I thought, oh, yeah, that'll do it. But yeah, it was just like amazing. I wasn't expecting this kind of level of a match. And you know, it was the moment where I was like, because I was always hopeful that Brody Lee would come to AEW, and then when he did, I was hopeful it would work out because you know I've been a big fan for a while, and then this match happened, and I was just like, it's all okay, everything's okay, and yeah, it was just one of my favorite matches personally of the year. And then when I was coming to try and pick, it was hard to pick, and then this one popped back into my head. And with the passing of Brody, I thought it's a nice thing to put him in the top 5. And yeah, I know again, a ridiculous amount of people put this as their number 1, and I think that's a bit ridiculous. But you know, people's opinions don't matter as much as mine. But you know, they're entitled to them.
I think, but a lot of it comes to what matters to you. You know, like although
Yeah, exactly.
you know, and we do take the piss a bit, but like I think it is important to acknowledge that you know at the end of the day, like some people you really pour your heart into, and even if their matches aren't the best to you, they are the best. You know, like because although what we may take as something is like, oh, that's great. Someone might take as completely phenomenal because it means so much.
I used to think Great Khali was the best wrestler in the world.
Mate, you know, we've all been there. You know, like, so if people think that, then by all means, you think that, and more power to you.
Yeah.
I think it's when you go into the subjective and we're talking about wrestling classics. That's where I'm like, oh, I don't know about that, man. But either way.
Yeah, like I say, if you're putting it as your number 1, I'd say, come on, look outside your own opinion. But
I think word choices. Go on.
I couldn't pick a top 5, so I just picked what was one of my favorites.
I think word choice is an important one here as well. Like, if you would say your favorite, then go nuts out, you know. But I think if we're talking best, then you know, best is a very I don't know. It generates a lot of controversy.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
Number 4.
John Moxley and Minoru Suzuki from New Japan, New Beginnings in Osaka.
Wow.
This match was insane and brilliant and spectacular and a dream match for all of us. And when John Moxley, I think it was Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, it was. Day 2. Just finished off Juice Robinson. I'm thinking, you know, and it wasn't as good as the previous match they had, but it was a decent match. You thought, oh, there we are. What's he going to do next? And then it was always really annoying that Minoru Suzuki wasn't really doing anything that particular event. And all of a sudden, you hear his music. And you just knew you were getting this classic match. New Japan knew exactly who to put in front of John Moxley at the beginning of 2020 after Wrestle Kingdom. And it was phenomenal. And it did highlight a weakness in John Moxley in that, like, he is not on the level of Suzuki, but no one is on the level of Suzuki.
Yeah.
In regards to,
I wouldn't call it a weakness. It was just a realization where you're like, oh, Suzuki is literally that mental.
Again, poor word choice from me. It is just it really showed how good Suzuki is. I could
Yeah.
I could elaborate on that more, but at the end of the day, this was a fantastic match. I saw videos on it in Twitter recently, and it just reminded me of it. And I watched it yesterday again, and just it's just the ridiculousness of it all. It was absolutely incredible, and you could tell on John Moxley's face that he was just absolutely adoring every single moment of it as well. So,
Yeah.
and it's everything that you thought it would have been. It wasn't
Yeah.
like a psychology classic or anything like that. It was
No, but
just
it's like in that style, it's just perfect.
yeah, and all the other matches are that psychology side of things. So I've got my comedy, I've got a bit of hardcore involved as well, not too hardcore, but a little bit of it. So I've covered a bit of ground with my top matches as well. So I thought that rounded things up nicely as well.
Yeah. I think I know what your top three is.
No, you know what my top
Based on
three is, yeah.
based on what we said before. But yeah, I mean, those two are definitely like, because the way I've done it is I've put what I think are the three best matches as my top three, and my 4 and 5 are harder ones where you could throw in this so many different matches. So I've gone for ones where I think they're on that level, but I personally more enjoy. And my number 4 is Kota Ibushi versus
Oh,
Taichi from the G1,
sick.
because I don't really know how they managed to do it by just and nothing else. But I mean, it's just such a unique match, and similar to that Takahashi versus Yano match. It was just so unique, and it stood out so much, and it's one I'll remember forever. And it's one where it's like, is if you were going to show like people, why do you like wrestling? If I had to 5 matches, I had to show people, this would be one of them, because it's something where it's like you can talk about it, and then you can really be like, it's interesting the fact that you do something like that. But it was just the respect these two had for each other's kicks. Basically meant that they just wanted to outdo the other person. It wasn't even about the result, really. It was about who has the better kicks and stuff. And it was just as it went on and on and on. There was a time where I was like, we're about 5 minutes in, and I'm thinking, okay, are you gonna do anything else? Come on, what's happening? Then like once you get to like 10 minutes, you're just like, don't stop kicking, just keep kicking. And yeah, and I think the only move that wasn't a kick was Ibushi with his finisher, which is obviously a knee. And yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was just amazing. I don't really know how they managed to actually craft a narrative out of that. But yeah, and the drama and stuff that they managed to instill in this match was it's a bit of a masterpiece, really, in a weird way. I understand it's kind of like, again, it's an outlier. It's not one of those typical classics, but you need matches like this here and there, and amazing stuff.
Generally, yeah. Generally incredible. Absolutely phenomenal. I love both guys. I've grown to love Taichi over this year. Like
I hated him before this year.
We hated him. But we definitely saw value in him afterwards, and especially with Dangerous Tekkers. Like, yeah, and that match in particular, so unique, so character driven as well. Like, only them two characters would think to do something like that, Like, and so, you see them with like a Suzuki or Ishii, where they might do battles with fists, but these two, they're gonna use their kicks, and yeah, I love that. So yeah, but okay then. So we're in top 3 land now, are we?
Yeah, we sure are.
All right. Well, you know where I'm heading, so I'm not really gonna suspense this too much. And number 3 is Takahashi Ospreay, for obvious reasons. Now,
for obvious reasons, being Dave Meltzer rated it 3rd best, so I'm gonna rate it 3rd best.
Oh mate, you're gonna really pummel this to me. I told Gareth that it follows a certain other journalist, as if I'm no, a particular journalist. We have similar ratings, and it makes me look like a shill. And maybe I am a shill, but I literally wrote them down, and then I looked later, and that's where it was. And then I thought I've got to change something, but I'm sticking to my guns.
Top 3,
I think I'm sticking to my guns. I was toying with moving Ibushi Okada to Takahashi Ospreay, But I think the reason why I did end up with Ibushi and Okada is because I think the importance of that match going forward is going to be more important than Takahashi Ospreay, because I do think they're on par with one another. Like, I think picking either one to say which one's your favorite of Wrestle Kingdom, I'd be like, yep, cool. You know, because I get it. Both served their different purposes, but they achieved the same results or the same level in their respective results. So yeah, Takahashi and Ospreay. What can I say, man? It was ridiculously creative. I think that's something that really stood out for me. This was Takahashi's return, if I remember rightly.
Yes, first singles match at least back.
And he started it with one of the best matches of the year. This man's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. There are some people that have ring rust and they can't go for, this and that. Not Takahashi, mate. Not Takahashi.
They just started slapping the crap out of each other after like 2 minutes as well.
Yeah. And it was Ospreay getting to the top of that division and knowing that the measuring stick, the true pillar of that division in Takahashi, wasn't there. And when he returned, it was him seeing if he could challenge himself to the real top dog within that division. And ultimately he failed. But it's obviously, it created like the segment, like the rest of the segment, I think, of the year for most people. That little spot where Ospreay was throwing himself across the ring. He misses Takahashi. Takahashi attempts a German suplex. Ospreay reverses that, and then he goes for Takahashi again, but then Takahashi lifts him into the ring. Ospreay then says fuck that and does, he just jumps over the ring multiple times, and then he eventually gets Takahashi. That was all over wrestling for Wrestling Twitter for months. For like absolute months. It was ridiculous. And then, of course, on top of everything, it was Takahashi debuting a new finish that no one's seen before. And so it was anticipating when the end of the match would actually come, because he'd used his previous finisher and that never worked on Ospreay. So there was tension there, so that if he could actually beat him. The creative, the way that they implemented their spots throughout was absolutely ridiculous. The near falls were absolutely ridiculous from both ends. So yeah, it was just stellar. Absolutely stellar. And I don't need to say that. Just watch it. These are the things with these 3 matches now going forward. Anything that we say, in my opinion, that we say about it doesn't give it any justice. You need to see these matches, and because they're ridiculous. So yeah, that's that one.
Nice. I had the same, but I anticipated that you were going to have this one in here. And I thought, oh, what can I say? And I thought, the El Desperado, I just wanted to say this. The El Desperado match, I think, is on like a similar, maybe not quite the same level, but like a very similar level for me. I just think when I was watching that, I had more of the feeling like I did when I was watching Okada Ibushi. Hiromu versus Ospreay was like insane to watch. But it didn't give me the same feeling as Okada Ibushi, which is why I put that one higher. Whereas El Desperado versus Hiromu did give me that same feeling, where like you built with the match and there was so much drama, and then the moment where the mask comes off, and then they just start slapping the shit out of each other. The whole match was just so good that I just wanted to give it a shout within the top 5 matches.
Yeah.
I was kind of, I wanted to, there was always going to be a Takahashi match in this because he had too many great ones for there not to be. But I was like, I want to put one of them in. And I kind of figured you're definitely going to mention that. So I thought I'd throw this one as my number 3. But yeah, it's kind of those two on a level playing field. If I was being honest, like I would bump off the Moxley-Brodley match and have the 2 Hiromu ones in my top 5. Kind of on a level playing field, because they do very different things for me. But they're about the same level, pretty much a similar level to Okada Ibushi, which again, for the same reasons, I put in number 2, which we might as well move on to that now. Just because I liked it slightly more, even if I couldn't quite say why or how it was better or anything. It's very hard because all these three matches were so good and on that level. And I think they're all contenders for New Japan Match of the Year, which, by the way, was won by Okada versus Naito, which, again, I've seen some people give that as their Match of the Year as well. And I can understand because, again, the long-term story and the paying off. But I think we spoke about this not on recording, but there wasn't enough drama in that match for me personally. It was all too predictable. I don't mind a bit of predictability because that just means you're telling a story well, but it's just too predictable. And I never felt anything really going like as the match went on. I was really excited for it. And then when we got there, it was kind of like it didn't make me feel anything. So that's why I didn't even put it in my top five.
Like
But
we
I
said,
understand
though,
if you did feel something,
yeah,
you would.
but like we said in our own time, if you have watched New Japan for a long period of time, that moment would have significantly meant more. It just all it means for us is that because we started watching 2019 G1 29, it was when the moment that we sort of clocked on, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
That was the moment we were like, okay, let's actually watch the meaningful shows. You know, we're not going to watch the house show there and there, of course not. But we'll watch some shows that mean something from that point onwards. And already that's like halfway through Naito's story. And not even then. Like his entire journey and be it LIJ and everything, that's a humongous part of the story. So like, yeah. So that little bit of context can really help with that. So yeah, having that as your match of the year makes sense. It does. It just does.
It does. It's just for me, it didn't give me the feeling that like the best matches would.
Yeah.
But
but I'm in agreement.
On this Okada Ibushi match, like I thought when I watched it, because I didn't watch any of the Mega Okada matches live, and obviously this was before our number one happened, our number one for the year. This is what I thought. Like this is the best match I've ever seen in terms of that I haven't had to watch back at another point. Live, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, it was so good, and the way Okada is like, he's so good at this, and it's one of his weaknesses is that he's so good at it because it means that like he often just relies on it, but it's just slow build in which there's so many brilliant psychological moments, whether it's a move or even just a taunt in a particular way, or the way someone looks in their eyes. Okada matches seem to have a way of doing this and building drama so well and anticipation. And again, similar to that Brody Lee Moxley one, I thought Okada was going to win because Okada versus Naito was always kind of the obvious one. But there were moments as the match kept going where I was like, Ibushi's going to win. And then when he snaps, because obviously Okada then starts dominating for a while again.
Yeah.
And then that leads to Ibushi snapping. And after that, I was like, go on. And then I was just like so behind Ibushi after that. I really wanted him to win. But then when Okada won, it was kind of like, oh, well, fair enough. I was upset. kind of like with you after Okada beat Takahashi, because in that match, I just grown to. I always liked Ibushi before, but like I grew to love him on a new level.
Yeah.
And it was just so good, and it's just the way it built. It's like if I sat here and I wrote down every point and all the plot points in that match, I could maybe do it justice, kind of, but realistically, you're not really going to do this match justice without going and watching it. It's just so good. And yeah, I thought when I watched it, I was like, that's match of the year. It just will be. There's nothing that will top it.
It's best singles match of the year, according to us.
Yeah, for sure. And even after we watched, it's obvious what match of the year is. Revolution. I was still saying, Okada Ibushi. But it was the more I thought about that tag match that I was like, nah, it's not Okada Ibushi. I rewatched Omega and Hangman versus Young Bucks, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely match of the year. But I mean, it was so close between in my head for a long time that I was kind of going back and forth as to which one was better. But yeah.
I think also something I'd like to add, I think something that in regards to second and third place, Okada, Ibushi, Takahashi, Ospreay, I think something that in a very simplistic way I justify it in my mind is I think of Takahashi and Ospreay as the more athletic style of match, although it definitely had a lot of the similarities, very many similarities. It does serve the more athletic style of match, which was in itself phenomenal, fantastic, all that great stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I think Okada and Ibushi served more story plot points, stuff like you were talking about. And it led up to, Takahashi and Ospreay had lots of moments. Okada and Ibushi had less moments, but it built to them each and every step of the way. And I think that, and so those moments hit harder. It was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, just a little thing I'd like to add. So AEW Revolution, Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and Young Bucks. Didn't even main event. Just at the center, just in the middle of the card, right? I want to give you a picture. We didn't watch this live. Well, I don't know for you. I didn't watch this live. I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh, gotta watch this Revolution pay-per-view, and everything like that. Picked up my iPad, right? I checked on Fight TV, and it was in the morning. I was just watching it, and I've never burst out in just such like joy of a match, of moments and near falls, and just I was worked so hard. I was an idiot. I was lying there watching the match and thinking, this is brilliant. So much so I lifted myself up. I sat up. I checked the lights on. I was paying like exact attention to it. But no, it was just I know, I get it, but like. It was just, I was so ingrained in it. And that's because of the story leading to this. It was phenomenal, man. Like, the story between Adam Page, like, Matt Jackson's frustration with Adam Page and Nick Jackson being on his brother's side, but just keeping him back. And then Kenny Omega's in the middle of all of this. He's trying to calm both people down. He just wants to have a respectful title match. He wants to see may the best man win. That was all that was in his mind. We had phenomenal promos before it. We saw phenomenal stuff go forward. And Matt Jackson like being reserved. And then we saw Nick Jackson snap, I want to say, during the moment as well, out of frustration. And then it was just pure physicality, athleticism, storytelling, and it was all in a fucking tag team match, right? We talk about the more people you insert into a match, the less you can really connect. Like, at least that's the way I gauge of it in my mind. So, and that's why I tend to prefer singles matches, because you can obviously connect with two people so much easier. The more characters, the more you muddy things up. It's as simple as that in all stories, I imagine, right? So it's very easy in a tag team situation, and this is why I think why WWE and other promotions do struggle sometimes with their tag teams, is because they never really quite know where to place their characters and their story plot points where they should be. In this match, they played their roles superbly. And on top of that, they just put on a classic. Just a classic wrestling, near for all of the things you'd expect a classic to have, but it had so much more and so much weight added on top of it for it all. And this is the match that sold me on Adam Page completely. This is the match that told me that the Young Bucks weren't just spot monkeys. They had so much more to them. This was the match that reignited my love for Kenny Omega, because at the beginning of AEW's existence and the events that had prior, sure, we've seen some really great stuff, but we haven't seen Kenny Omega evolve. We haven't seen classic, typical match Kenny Omega. We did previously with Pac, with an Iron Man match, but then obviously Full Gear, but that was a very hardcore match as well, so that wasn't really serving the Kenny Omega of old either, So to see this, and especially Kenny Omega parallels with tag teams, Kota Ibushi, all the things, you could really get into the nitty-gritty of things if you really wanted to with this. It was phenomenal. It's my favorite match of all time. It's because I say it's my favorite is because I care about it so much. I do think Omega versus Okada is objectively a better wrestling match. Especially the 2 out of 3 falls ones. Yeah. But
that's the only one I think I could put above this, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the others are really good as well, but that's the only one I would 100% put above.
But I think in terms of characters I care about, the fragile but determined Adam Page, the destined to prove himself in a fair fight. Kenny Omega in his spin, the pissed off Matt Jackson, and the Nick Jackson serving that role that he did in holding Matt Jackson back, but ultimately caving in. Yeah, loved it, adored it.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been worked by a match more than this in terms of like near falls, because I think I thought the Young Bucks were going to win, and I didn't really want it to happen. And I definitely didn't want it to happen if Hangman was turning heel, because I didn't think that was the way they were going. But so many people were like, "Oh, Hangman's going to turn on Kenny. Hangman's going to turn on Kenny," and obviously they teased that after the match as well, which that worked me as well, because I was like, "No, no, don't do that now," especially afterwards when you just retain that. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, no, like I don't think I've ever been worked by a match, and because I was really wanting Hangman to like kind of prove himself, and ultimately does. And yeah, I think you've pretty much summed it up well. But it's just like it's one of those where it's just, when you just watch like a really really great film, or for me it's like sometimes I've like gone to the theater and I've watched something really really good. I come out and I can't really piece it all together. I can't really comprehend it all quite yet, and I like mull over it for a few days. I think that's why immediately afterwards I was like, "No, Okada Ibushi was better," and then it wasn't until like a week or so later where I was like, "No, actually, that was so much better." Well, not so much, but it was better, because it took me like a while to really like, and I had to watch it again to really like realize just how great it is or was. And yeah, I think like definitely the best tag team match I've ever seen. So presumably the best ever. Like the ones that I see people argue for, apart from Golden Lovers versus Young Bucks, which I definitely think is very close, and FTR versus Young Bucks, which I definitely think is very close also. Like some of the classic ones, I'm just like from back in the day, even though I can't really fully relate to them. Some of the ones I checked them out, and I was some of them are 10 minutes long, and it's not like you can't have a great match in 10 minutes, but it's just like, I don't know, can you have the best tag team match of all time in 10 minutes? Because how much can you really do with that? And it's just like, I can't find any evidence that there's a better tag match out there. And I can't see anyone saying that there is, who hasn't said one of the ones which I've checked out and I've looked and just thought it's good. But even trying to put myself in the context of that match, could even compare them. It was just so good. And again, I think it's better than most of the Okada Omega matches, purely because I think what was so great about those 4 matches is when you think of how really great they are, it's the story as they go on, and they build to that final match, the 2 out of 3 falls. And as they're standalone matches, they're amazing. But I think this was more like that, that 4th match where it was like, it really felt like this was actually what it was all about, whereas those other ones don't. And I think you need that. So to be like the very best, I mean. So yeah, I go as far as to say it's maybe the second best match ever, at least the second best match I've seen, I think. As far as my little brain can comprehend anyway. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it was, generally. And I think also for it to be a tag match is stellar in itself. I think to achieve such a result, at least for me and my personal, because I just, prior to AEW's existence, I didn't care for tag matches, but that was because I was digesting wrestling that told me tag team wrestling just wasn't on par with singles,
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, you ingrain that within yourself on what you think about wrestling. So to be,
I liked it in NXT for that period.
I know, but it was like, it wasn't that often though, was it? Like, it was fantastic,
No,
but
it
it
was at
was never,
Takeovers.
it was never given the light that AEW provided. But NXT definitely did help. American Alpha, the Revival at the time, DIY, they were fantastic. A very, very much a golden era of tag teams during that period.
Yeah.
So yeah, AEW Revolution, Omega and Page, the Young Bucks. Number 1. Sorry, boys.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not you different.
Argument is yes, because we're right.
But yeah. So, thank you very much for watching this. As always, as we always say in these videos, let us know what you think. Our tag matches, shit. Like, are they the worst things you've ever seen? Like, are we? Like, we've checked at a couple of New Japan wins here. Is New Japan, like, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't so good, but I don't know. I think you're wrong. To be fair,
we're right, you're wrong.
Yeah, like, there's just been some quality. During a really tough year, there have been some quality matches, though. There have been some real quality matches, and we've been really lucky, I think, to be given what we've got, all things considered, especially a G1 Climax and Best of Super Juniors and all those intense schedule events. So, yeah, we've been really lucky. So, hopefully, 2021 serves us more, hopefully. So, we can only hope.
Yeah.
At the time of recording, New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom is beginning tomorrow. So that'll be cool.
We'll have some more match of the year just from that, no doubt.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we look forward to that as well. So thank you very much for watching this episode on the Wrestling channel with myself, Kieran, and of course, Gareth. And we'll be seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.